Hey, this is Asbog, the Gaming Orc, and lo and behold, ESO decide to release a huge DLC. The price point is $40. You're watching the trailer behind me right now. I'm here to talk about the PvP changes, and also I was reading their press release on their website, and it seems like that was emphasized more than, say, the PvE content. They have a new PvP mode, a new trial mode, 30 hours of adventure in the iconic island of Wardenfell. I'm going to read something from their press release here. Morrowind also introduces a new trial and PvP mode for you to check out. Enter Telvanni, Tower of Tel Fyr, with your strongest allies to battle your way through the Halls of Fabrication and explore the part of the Clockwork City in a challenging new 12-player trial. Or you can head to the Ashlands to take on fellow players in exciting 4v4v4 battles in arena-like environments. These highly competitive, fast-paced matches will feature your choice in a variety of game types across 3 different maps. There's also going to be it'll be laddered, so you'll be able to see where you rank and against other players or team ranks. I doubt it will be team ranked, but it'll probably be player ranked. So there's also going to be this big zone, okay? It's going to be Morrowind. It's going to be a huge DLC expansion, apparently. So for people who are interested in the PvE content of this game, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. There's also a new Warden Class that they're going to be introducing, which is kind of cool. Which is probably what I'll be playing. Is whenever like a game like World of Warcraft or any type of game, they release a new class. Like even in BDO, when they released this new the Dark Knight class, I'm going to be interested in playing it. The new Warden class is going to have 3 skill trees, and you can kind of see him in the trailer here as he's blocking some stuff with his ice shield, and he has 3 skill trees because just like every class in ESO, they have 3 core skill trees that kind of differentiates each class, and then they have many other trees that can be obtained by any other player. And a side note, that's one thing I really liked about ESOs. There was a lot of customization, a lot of speccing. And say in a game like BDO and World of Warcraft, it's very cookie cutter. Or in BDO, there's really no specs. You're going to have 3 skill trees. You're going to have an animal companion. You're also going to have a pet or bear. And you're going to have you can probably have more than one pet from what I understand. And one of the abilities that they were discussing is like if your bear dies, you get it'll like instantly resurrect itself, and if it dies or something happens, you'll get like a significant damage buff. And the bear is like there's like an ultimate around this bear ability, or the bear is an ultimate of some kind. You also have another tree which is like a nature healing tree, and then you have an ice defense buff tree. So it seems to me like the Warden is sort of a support class, not really like a big damage dealer. Also, you have this huge AoE ability you see here in the trailer, and the question is it channeled or is it an ultimate? It seems like a massive ability. So is this class like a healer or a support class? My thoughts about this are, as you know, I was a pretty hardcore PvPer. The problem is this was extremely late to implement. ESO, I was doing some more research here. ESO came back out in April of 2014. That was almost 3 years ago, people. There's been no PvP content since the release of this game. And a lot of the people playing this game, I think, are PvPers for the most part, because the PvE content can only hold a player for so long. There's like, generally with most MMOs, the PvE content wears out, and unless you're like a really big grinder, you're just going to get the PvP content's what latches the hardcore players on, or a certain percentage of the hardcore players. And on a side note, one interesting thing I noticed about getting a good gauge for how many people are PvPers versus PvEers is you go to the downwind sewers in World of Warcraft, and when you call off the guards, literally everyone comes out of the sewers. So only like 10% of the people that are playing the game want a PvP. So that's just something to think about. Like the hardcore PvPers, like when the guards are off in the sewers, like it just clears out. And then typically there's not very many hardcore PvPers down in the sewers. So to continue, it was apparently they wanted to push this game for console back in the day, And I had a friend point this out to me when the game was in beta, and he was hating on the game because there's only like 5 abilities that you had, and you have a lot of abilities in ESO and you can't use all of them, so you only have 5. And so it was designed, he was just pointing out that it was designed for console, and then it took about a year or so for them to push it to console, and then they went and took it from a subscription model, which was really probably like a beta to I mean, because the PvP zone was lagged too. And I was asking, I recently joined ESO again, and I was asking like, hey, is this game laggy? So an ESO doesn't lag. They only have one PvP area really, and apparently the new zone, I was asking about it when I tried to get into this game again. The new zone, and people put it in the comments if you have different things and if you're still playing this game. The new Imperial City, apparently there's just not very many people there anymore. So people again are in Cyrodiil killing one another. Like I was following Cypher, he still plays this game, and he is still in Cyrodiil PvP. And Cyrodiil is, the only thing nice about Cyrodiil is it's a huge area, so there's a lot of diversity there, and there is some PvE content, so you can do lots of things. But from what I was listening through Delta, it's like people are just fighting over Chalmers or whatever. Like, it's kind of the same old game, and there's nothing happening in that game. So while this is a real good fresh breath of fresh air, it just puts it like at the minimum for like what a PvP game needs. And so you have another game like For Honor coming out, which is just like a solid PvP game, and it's compared to other games that are out there, it's just really solid, for even though the price point is high. So like this price point for this game is $40. This PvP change was needed, but it was also lacking, and they should have, it seems like they just focused on, again, the three groups, when it should have been more of a 4v4 situation, similar to like World of Warcraft, where you can really isolate your opponent and you can really see how good you are against other teams, instead of less zergy. The problem is with ESO is it's super zergy, and the problem is that the game design wasn't very well implemented, so it's very laggy. When World of Warcraft came out with their first, back in vanilla, their first 2 BGs were Alterac Valley, which was massive Zerg fest and still like the least fun of all battlegrounds, and that's similar to Cyrodiil. And the other aspect of it was Capture the Flag, which was 10v10. Now over the course of time, you're going to find out through hours and hours of PvPing that Warsong Gulch was a much better battleground because it was less zergy. It's more, you can control what's happening, and that's a problem, say, with like For Honor too, is like you might get stabbed in the back. So, but it's not as bad in For Honor because there's only 4 people in there, and again, that's a 4v4 situation. So it still takes, here's the crux. It still takes about $300 to buy an account in ESO to be competitive, probably in PvP. So unless they gear balance this thing, like Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft, or have 2 different modes where you can have gear balance versus non-gear balance, so they can gear balance this thing out for returning players, because the champion point system, there's going to be a major problem, because like people have 500 plus champion points, and when I returned with Largis, I just logged in, I think I have like 120 champion points. And this is a problem with most MMOs, as you know, is this gear balance difference. If you step away from the game, you're screwed. So returning players can't be OP, or can't get in and enjoy the game because they're going to get destroyed. Final thought is that, will I be playing it? I might check it out. It depends on what games are going on at the time. It depends on how grindy this is. So that's just, it has potential. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it doesn't. There's no hope here. But for the hardcore PvPers like myself and other players to return back to the game, it's difficult, and this is very late, and it shows a lack of interest in the PvP community. The PvP, by far, is the strongest part of ESO. The PvE was cool, but the PvP design was very interesting. Even in the early review of Angry Joe Show, he pointed out and made the comment that the PvP was by far the strongest part in the game. And the designers did not want to recognize this aspect, that they had kind of stumbled into this like good part of the game, because they wanted the PvE part to be good, I guess. And so they kind of neglected their fan base, or they neglected their customer base. And this is why the game it's taken 3 years to get PvP content out. And the problem is it too late? Because other games are coming, more competitive games are coming out, i.e. For Honor. Hope you guys liked the thoughts. Hope that this wasn't too big of a rant. And tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. Are you going to go back to ESO? Are you playing ESO? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next chapter.